Afternoon, fellas. Congrats. Welcome to the big room. Basketball. Hey, Coach. How you doing? Good. Good to see you. Head coach Dan Hurley joins us with Tristan Newton and Cam Spencer. This is a 25-minute news conference with student athletes for the first 10. Coach Hurley will ask you to make an opening statement, then we'll take questions for all three.
Yeah, obviously, deep into the prep for both of us. Just the basically a day and a half prep, for each other here. So, I think I said this about Marquette during the season. Playing certain programs, it's feels like a privilege because of what they stand for, how they do it, and how good they are. So to be able to play the national championship versus Purdue, and how good they are and how Matt runs things, it's a real privilege to play them for the championship.
Questions for Coach Hurley, Tristan, and Cam. Let's start in the middle of the room with Matt. We're going to use the back left microphone.
Dan, good afternoon. Congrats on winning. I'm right here. Congrats on winning National Coach of the Year. I couldn't help but notice you sat down at the dais with a little manila folder. If you could take us into where you are with prep, and is that just a typical scouting report? Genuinely curious about where you're at right now.
Yeah, so, immediately after the game, after the media was done, you literally, get that tablet as soon as you get on the bus, and I was into, you're into Purdue on the way back to the hotel. We were able to, I was able to consume, 3 games before I went to bed last night. Luke Murray, obviously was prepping for the winner of that game. So, I've been able to, catch, 6 of their games already. I'll imagine I'll watch, maybe 8. And then that's all kind of the analytics, scouting report, some of that type of stuff.
We'll go up front on the left side. Fanta.
John Fanta, Fox Sports. For Dan and the players, can you guys reflect on how great of a matchup this is for men's college basketball? This is 1 versus 2 throughout this season. Obviously, Donovan versus Zach, but there's so many other pieces to both these teams. Just what it's like knowing that you're going to step on the floor against this Purdue team tomorrow, and how big this is, how great this is for the sport, that this is how we end what's been a remarkable season.
We'll ask Cam to take that first, then Tristan, then Coach.
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup, between 2 teams who have had 2 great years. Obviously, we have a lot of respect for them as a program. They're in national championship for a reason, and I'm sure people have been waiting to see this one for a while, but we're locked in and we'll be ready to go.
Tristan.
Yeah, we've been the 2 best programs the past 2 years, us and Purdue, and it's a great matchup. We're looking forward to it. The coaches are gonna get us well prepared and ready to have a good game tomorrow.
Anything to add, Coach?
Yeah, I would just say I'm sure that Cam endeared himself to their fans while he was in the Big Ten.
On the right side, Brian.
Brian Hamilton from The Athletic. Dan, when you look at the way you've constructed your roster this year, last year, the way Purdue's constructed the roster, we go back to, Kansas, Baylor, Virginia winning titles. What have we learned about what wins, or what should everyone know about what wins to get teams to this level?
I think all of us should just shut up about it and stop trying to help the people that don't know what they're doing. You got to be able to score, obviously. To win a 6-game single elimination tournament. I think that the days of that kind of the rock fight style of play in modern basketball, I think it's going to be tough to win that way. I think obviously balanced roster. Young players with talent that are insulated by, returning players to your program with that could uphold the culture, and then strategic, portal additions that could put you over the top. But I think it's, the roster construction, skill, skilled players that can process the game, and, and balance in terms of veterans and young players.
We'll go up front on the right side.
Jacob Saliga, Arizona Varsity. Coach Hurley, your team has done a very good job as a whole with your lineup in terms of crashing the glass as a unit. Playing in the Big East is going up against guys such as Joel Soriano, Kalkbrenner, Oso Ighodaro. How well did you think that attacking the glass as a team against those great post players are going to help prepare you to go up against a guy like Edey who controls the post as well as he does?
Yeah, he's obviously, you may coach or play your whole career and never, coach or play against somebody of his stature. Truly a giant player. So, yeah, I mean, we're not, we're a pretty physical team, but, we more so fly to the ball. And then I think we're disciplined like they are. I mean, they're an excellent rebounding team. We're an excellent rebounding team. We both block out, and a lot of the time it just comes down to tracing that ball and who's going to make that life or death pursuit to get it.
Continuing up front.
Casey Bartley, Boiler Upload Rivals. Dan, considering the narrative of Purdue getting here for the first time since '69, you guys are getting back. Are there differences between getting here the first time and doing it again?
I think listen, when you break through that euphoria that you feel when you punch your ticket to the Final Four and just the bigness of this event, just participating in it as a coach or a player. The experience, this setting, the buses, the police escorts, the 70,000 people in this day. I mean, it's an incredible experience, and it doesn't, the second time you make it feels just as good as the first.
Moving over to the left, second row, second seat.
Kyle Tucker with The Athletic. Dan, I think you talked in the Big East tournament about needing your Jolly Green Giant to sort of get nasty. How good of a job has he done in this tournament of doing that, and how easy is it to get him in that mindset when the two-time National Player of the Year is on the other side?
Yeah. The thing with Donovan is he got healthy at the absolute, right time of the year. And then, in a similar way, where like, Steph Castle at the end of his freshman year is now probably playing like a sophomore. You've got, Donovan now who has enough experience in big spots, where he's perfectly conditioned. He's healthy, he's confident, and he's playing more like a junior player. And, he understands the challenges, that he's dealing with, with Zach Edey. It's a unique matchup, and he's played against some outstanding centers in Soriano and Kalkbrenner. But this is a different animal, and they use him in a much, much different way. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge for our front court, for our guards, for our whole team, because it's going to have to take a team effort to try to slow him down a little bit.
Second row, Zach.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Dan, can you reflect on just what it's been like to coach your son, and what, you remember when he was finishing high school, kind of the thought process, about, probably could, obviously his decision to want to play for you, even though he probably knew he wasn't really going to play.
Yeah, I mean, he was good enough. He would have been a, Division II, Division III player. He could dunk. I could never dunk. I got short arms, and I couldn't jump that high. He humanizes me a little bit. I don't know what he does in the locker room when I'm on like a heater and I'm being it's a complete brutal ass to everybody. I don't know if he goes in the locker room and endears himself to these guys by crushing me and say, yeah, he's the worst, or if he goes in there and says, hey guys, he loves you, he just cares. I don't really know what's going on back there. I don't know if these guys will tell me either before it's over, but as a coach, you miss, you sacrifice a lot, especially at the college level or the NBA level. And oftentimes your wife and your kids, suffer with that time lost. So to be able to get that time back and be together 11 months a year and see each other every day, multiple times a day, the highs, the lows of everything we go through, made up for a lot of time we lost.
Dom, is your question for Coach or for the players? For Coach. Okay, well, we'd like to thank Tristan and Cam for joining us. They're going to be part of the breakout session that starts at 2:05. Let's go. Thanks, guys. Oh, yeah, get your... They'll take their place cards to the breakout sessions as well. This is the front left microphone. Question from Dom for Coach.
Okay, Dom Amori, Hartford Current. Dan, you've talked quite a bit about how much pressure there is in that first round game, and you guys kind of went through it and came back and won a championship the next year. Can you imagine what they went through losing a 1-16 game and doing what they've done? What does it tell you about them and the character that you're going to be facing tomorrow?
I mean, we could relate, and everyone's motivations are different. But, it was very relatable for, again, the COVID NCAA tournament. I like to throw that one out. For me, I'll accept responsibility to a degree for that brutal performance. But, that New Mexico State loss and then the Iona game, I mean, we felt the heat. I know, I know that what that felt like. And, for them, it probably was even more so than that. But, they're such a classy program. Their culture is as good as anyone. They're as well coached as anyone. You could see they had an attitude about them going into this tournament throughout the season, where I don't think anyone thought that this would be a similar situation for them. But I could certainly relate to the pressure they felt.
Center of the room toward the right.
Coach Hurley, Kobe Mosley, USBWA. My question's about Donovan Clingan. You talked earlier about this week about Tristan Newton and how he's kind of grown as a leader. How do you think Donovan is growing as a leader, especially after you guys winning a championship and all these seniors leaving after last year?
You learn so much in coaching, and just when you see how different personalities affect just the team vibe, especially when you're going into these big, high leverage moments. I think my experience with Donovan and some of the folks we brought in the last couple of years, the Joey Californias and the Andre Jacksons, and you just realize how important it is to have people that are alive and they're not zombie-like creatures. They're just like. They bring a life to the locker room. They've got passion. They're people that you can lose with and still be able to pick the pieces up because they're good people. They're charismatic, and they're just great in the locker room because it's a grind.
Left side, AP, right there.
Dan, David Brandt from the AP. You talked a little bit about Steph Castle a couple minutes ago, but it seems like for a 5-star McDonald's All-American guy, he's remarkably low maintenance, and just wondered why he's been able to fit in so well with your roster and how he's grown over these last couple months.
I think he told on himself. He's got the great parents, and Stacy and Quan. They've kept him humble all the way through. In a sport where we put these kids on a pedestal, way before they should be, and we treat them like they've arrived way before arrival, and they didn't allow that to happen with him. The way he handled the recruiting process, it didn't turn into a fiasco. It didn't go from a list of I've narrowed my list to 20. Now I've narrowed it to 18. Now 12. Now 9. He was decisive. He watched us practice. He saw our culture. He wanted to be coached hard. They wanted an old school environment for him to be challenged in and to be held accountable. And it's just been the perfect situation for him because his draft stock is right where they want it to be right now. And he's won big. you can still do both, and everyone could win.
Center of the room.
Amanda Kristovich, Front Office Sports. Just from a big picture perspective, do you feel like UConn could have reached this level of dominance if you hadn't rejoined the Big East a few years ago?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were well on our way, in a similar way to what Coach Sampson was doing in the AAC. Obviously, going to the Big 12 is, everything's bigger, tougher league. But we were recruiting at a very, very high level, and we would be where we were regardless. I got the best staff in the country. I got one of the biggest brands in college basketball. It has certainly helped, but we've also had a big impact on the Big East as well.
Left side of the aisle, all the way left.
Killian Johnson, Sports Illustrated Kids. Coach, as reigning champions, how you've had a target on your back all year. How has that motivated you?
I mean, well, number one, my biggest motivation really for the last 2-3 weeks is I just don't want to deal with the portal shit. And I mean, well, that's why we're trying to win so hard right now, is I'm seeing what other people are doing. And it's chaos, and I could hide behind, hey, my season's still going on. But yeah, I think we've used that. Like for a lot of the year, we've used the external slights, the perceived slights, all those things, the world's against us mentality. I think that gets you through like the regular season, Big East grind, January, February, where the team's tired and you've got to create these different things, where we really use that motivation external. Everyone's trying to get us. They want what we got. We're the champs. Somebody's gonna have to rip this out of our hands. I mean, we use that a lot. But once you get to this time of year, everything is just, you are who your identity is. The way you play, it's very automatic, and it just comes down to, hoping that it's your night.
Dana on the left side toward the back.
Dana O'Neill with The Athletic. Dan, you and Matt come at it maybe differently, but you're both pretty strong in your convictions about how you want to do things. Both have taken some heat for it sometimes, perhaps. How do you kind of maintain the courage of that conviction as you go through this and the world kind of swirls around you?
Yeah, I think we do have a lot of similarities in terms of, the culture and the old school, values that we have in terms of the type of people that we recruit and the type of teams we have. So maybe the personalities are a little bit different on the sideline. I wish I had his composure at times. I just think that, we've been involved in the game our whole lives. We were both players. We both played for incredible coaches throughout our careers. And I think those coaches that we played for have made us stubborn and strong in what we believe. And I think we're both very confident people that are authentic and aren't trying to put on a show. I don't think there's anything fake about either one of us. We are who we are.
Third row on the left.
Dan, what is having an enormous backcourt like you have and like you had last year? What strategic advantage does that give you, particularly against a smaller backcourt like Purdue has?
Yeah, just the size at guard, just to have a 6'5" Tristan Newton, Steph Castle, who's 6'6", to be able to put him on a point guard or on a wing scorer, either one of those guys. It just affects passing windows, I think, for guards, whether it's the ball screen game or post feeding. Obviously, it shrinks the court for the opponent as well, allows you to contest the three-point line at those spots. And even Caravan, who's 6'8", 6'9", but he's got really, he's got great length at his position as well.
UConn locker room is now open and breakouts are beginning with players. We'll continue with Coach. Question from Wayne Norman all the way on the right.
Hi, Dan. You're a very good three-point shooting team, and Donovan Clingan plays a big role in that. Purdue is the second best three-point shooting team in the country. Is it a similar formula with Edey in the middle to open their three-point shooters?
Yeah, you got to pick. You got to pick your poison. I think you got to mix things up. Single coverage versus Zach Edey is it's a scary proposition, even with Donovan, because he's a game changer. For us at both ends of the court and on the backboard. So I just think that we can't give them one look. They're too good. And in a lot of ways, we mirror each other. They're 2 or 3 in offense in the country, and they're 12th in defense. There's just not a lot of holes in either team. It's NBA level talent up and down each roster. And teams that are just well-rounded without a lot of vulnerabilities.
We're going to go to Matt, then Brendan, then Billy, and then my guess is we're going to have to wrap this up. Let's get a microphone for Matt. He's got the blue shirt right there, holding his arm out. He has a microphone.
Matt Norlander, CBS Sports. I'm going to ask you to extend that thought because Edey is combining for close to about 44 points and rebounds a game. Are you anticipating the necessity to double team him some, or are you, as a competitor, Dan, and how you're going to prepare for this, are you preparing for Edey to just go Edey again, and then whatever we can do to shut everyone else down, we're just going to win that way? Obviously, other teams have tried that approach. Most have failed when they face Purdue.
Yeah. It's a unique challenge. He's a unique player. I don't think that one thing is going to work in the game. I think you've got to try to keep him off balance. Matt, unfortunately for us, really constructed a great roster around such a unique player. Obviously, the blind spot for them last year was subpar three-point shooting, which allowed you to surround him. Whereas now, if you put 2 on the ball with him, you're now turning loose a team that's shooting 40% from 3. If you single coverage him, even with Donovan, a player of his caliber, he obviously gets fouled a lot, or he's at the free throw line a lot. So now we're putting maybe our most impactful player in position to maybe get in foul trouble, which would cause big problems for us at both ends and on the backboard. I just think that even though it's a short prep, we've played a lot of games this year, and I think there's a number of different things we're going to have to try to do and mix up and see what's effective.
Brendan.
Dan, Brendan Quinn from The Athletic. When you deal with alums of a certain era, dudes who played in the Yankee Conference and stuff, what's been your experience, seeing them process what this place has become?
I'd say UConn's unique because we've got we're UConn's the pro sports franchise of the state, and obviously it's 2 things: the impact that basketball at UConn has had on the university and the growth of the university and what it was like in the 80s and 90s, the small agricultural college that I think when I drove through campus in the early to mid 90s, I thought I missed the campus and as I arrived at Gamble. So the explosion of basketball, what it's meant to the state, what it's meant to the campus becoming a world-class university, the impact has been great. And it's what D. Rowe and Coach Calhoun and Gino and the former players that want to be around, and not just for the Final Four or when the cameras are around, but the amount of folks that come through to watch a practice, to talk to the boys. It's a unique relationship, special.
We'll wrap things up with Billy.
Billy Witz with the New York Times. Dan, this era there's so much, with conference realignment and the portal and NIL, it feels like it should be harder to win back-to-back championships, which is obviously, as history's proven, is rare to begin with. What is it? I wonder if you can identify a couple things that maybe about your program that have allowed you to be in this position.
Yeah, I think we're at this point. I think we understand that we could, as Teddy Atlas would say, like, pass on some of the neon talents, to get our type of people. Obviously, there's a baseline that you need in terms of size, athletic ability, just ability with the basketball to do things. But we really hold out to get our type of people. The staff continuity, we've made it, so good. I think for guys like Kamani and Luke to not take a low or mid-major jobs. So I've been able to keep my staff intact. By making sure they're taken care of, that way. But we just haven't changed a lot, we don't kiss the kids, ass during recruiting. We don't kiss it while they're on campus. We bring tremendous value to our players because we're old school and we push them to get better and to become better people, and we teach them how to become successful. I think we truly have. I think we try to play modern basketball with the use of analytics as I bought more into that, but have really held on to like old school values the way, coaches, maybe used to be more, where, we're in charge and we hold people accountable, but we play a modern style of ball.
We want to thank Coach Hurley for joining us here in the main interview room. Thank you, Coach. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. See you.